onto that Kalista, like you said, was very successful for FBX versus EDG so far this split. And they're going to be able to combo that with whatever they really want, to be perfectly honest with you. You can maybe see the set come back into that one. Nautilus is generally a pretty decent one as well. You get to go fishing, hook yourself a Nami. But BLG, you can hover the Rammus all you want. It's okay, but you gotta have to lock in the Wukong. It's just too powerful on this patch.
Yeah, now for LNG, we know the Nami's going to be coming out here. The other standout pick still left open in my mind would be something like a Viego, if they want to just match jungle for jungle early on. Has been one of the most played champions, especially with the fact that BLG banned out Lucian. I feel like you don't really want to wait for your pool to get pinched out in second rotation. So Nami going to be locked in now, and then we're going to get to see this Tarzan go with the highlight Viego, or do they have a bit of a different strategy in the works?
I mean, again, Tarzan was the glowing light for the side of LNG in spring, and I will say that he did fall off towards the later stages of the season. It felt like, honestly, he was giving about 110% in every single game, and then it just felt like he just kind of had none left in the tank. He just unfortunately, you know, had a couple of off games, which for his incredibly high standard was just seen as a bad series. But still an incredible jungler, honestly, still someone who's world-class worthy, and I'm very excited to see what he's able to do now with this combination. You've got a very powerful bot lane and combo that in with the Viego. You should be able to make things work.
Yeah, and especially with BLG hovering towards this Nautilus, you would expect some kind of all-in support to be able to come out the spot lane role. So now they're doing it. BLG's identity right, just so far pulling the trigger, going in for these big 5v5s. If LNG overextend in lane and WeiWei's there, it will be really rough. Even just once again hitting on that Lucian trade pattern of once you burn all those cooldowns, you're going to allow for Doggo to just keep stacking up those spears, maybe set up for a big rend. So I'm very curious to see how Light and Iwandi pilot this lane. But now looking ahead, both teams having bot lane and jungle so far, so soul lane ban's going to come out, and BLG wanting nothing to do with the Swain that we've seen menacing the LPL the past few days. The Imperial Mandate team fight build has been huge.
Absolutely massive. And again, good to see it kind of taking out the Kale as well. We're starting to see these very much new meta picks starting to take over the picks and bans. Don't want to deal with it. Don't want to have to try and figure out a counter for it if we haven't already. And fun little fact actually coming out of Tarzan in terms of the great. He hasn't actually played Viego all year. It's the first time we're going to be seeing him in 2022 play on this champion. The last time we saw him play it was in the Demacia Cup last December. So it is something that he hasn't really shown us to be proficient on. But I feel like when you're in the LPL, and specifically in the jungle meta we've had so far, you need to be good at this champion, even as a denial away from other junglers.
Yeah, and I believe Tarzan can do it. So now we're going to see what he gets paired up with in the mid lane, because BLG banned away the Lissandra. That should signal that they're setting up for an Ahri pick. So now we see if LNG ban that one away, or if they're comfortable taking a different matchup into the Ahri. No, they don't ban it out. So we'll see, does FoFo want to go for that one, or do you blind pick top? The only thing that stands out on top again would be if we do see more things like Gnar, but no. Banning away the Lissandra, but going straight to the Galio.
Yeah, looking for that global presence. Of course, does exceptionally well in terms of the wave clear. Very safe in terms of his tank stats as well. Just has an unholy amount of health in the early game, so very difficult to burst him out. And this is going to now see where LNG want to go for this one here. They want to try and to ban or blind their top pick, and have to going to try and pick something that can work together. So the Gangplank, I don't have as a don't think it's too bad of an option for them. But they're going to go for the Corki for Doinb. Interesting.
I mean, right, this is one of, like, the classic picks into the Galio. You think, like, back in the day, you can get up real close with your E, get some damage down. He could really never find an easy way to land a taunt on you because you do have your W. And then once you hit level 6, right, you're just berating him with those rockets. Still, though, a bit of a spanner thrown into the works with the fact that it's Doinb picking this one up. And then Ala going for the Sion, right? You think of Ala as that side lane, that carry player. Another player who's very much in the same, like, regard as Bin, but no. LNG definitely going to be playing around their bot lane, right? You have the Lucian Nami, you have Sion up in top side, you have a mid laner who can farm. So it's going to be all up to Light and Iwandi to find these advantages, but it can be quite hard when FoFo is going to be looking for agency to start moving around this map. And if BLG opt into locking in the Camille, which they do, it has been, he loves the Camille. Now BLG have a bit of options. I still think they'll play a bit more around their bottom lane, considering it is, you know, Kalista Nautilus into Lucian Nami. Very volatile lane matchup that if you can find those kills will be huge. But yeah, I think BLG definitely having some options. Then those 5v5s of Sheen. Holy, Camille ultimate with the Galio follow-up will be massive.
I mean, this is exactly what you wanted to see from BLG. All in on Bin. They're going for the RNG special, the Galio with the Camille.
A champion that moves for FoFo.
Exactly.
What is this?
I was about to say, this is not the FoFo we expected to see. This is not how we expected to see FoFo play, because he's such an independent mid laner. Now he has to get out of the lane. So right now, for the side of BLG, they're showing us good development and good movement towards what could potentially be their new playstyle.
I was going to say, at least in draft, they're kind of
we haven't
some...
seen them on the Rift yet, but I'm positive. Let me be positive.
they're ticking some of those boxes, but I agree with you. Nice to see this come out from BLG. Again, I expect more pressure to be put on bot in the early stages. Make sure the Lucian Nami can't get out of control. Then post level 6, you can start all-inning on Bin, giving him more agency. He's setting up for your team fight. So all about the bottom lane, Sheen. Match of the week. I mean, Chris versus Doinb. The storylines going wild.
Yeah, neither of them on FBX anymore, but both of them hunting to try and relive some of that World Championship flavor that they are also desperate to get a taste of again. But we're going to have to wait and see again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's going to be pretty damn favored if you're looking at these particular stats towards a particular team. But at the same time, it's about how you execute. It's about how you're able to move around the map. And specifically, we're going to be able to look at that bot side, like you mentioned, because with so many roaming champions in both top and mid, it's going to be huge for both either side if they can get an advantage.
Yeah, and right, we would expect Lucian Nami to be able to come up ahead stronger in the early game. Level 1 can be a bit rough if we see that Crisp is able to find some kind of like cheesy hook and you get some of that damage down. At the level 3 mark, though, once you have that full combo, Light and Iwandi should dominate as long as they don't get caught by Crisp. So that's why for LNG, you expect them to put a lot of attention down towards that bottom lane, at least making sure they have vision so they don't get caught out by any of WeiWei's ganks or FoFo's roams. That will be the key thing. And then for LNG, right, you're leaving your mid laner to scale up. Ala is just meant to be a force in those 5v5s.
And yeah, we were talking about this particular matchup as well as, you know, like LNG obviously not changing anything, and we're not that we're surprised about that. They still ended the regular season top 4. They still had a record of 11-5. They were still a very, very solid team for the majority of the split. It just became very undone towards the end of it. So it is just going to be about how they're able to, you know, continually transition and maybe, you know, fix some of the big issues, some of the glaring ones that we saw. Again, I feel like, yes, Tarzan is an incredible carry, an incredible jungler, but he can't be your only gun. You need an arsenal in the LPL. You need to be able to rely on multiple different fronts in case someone has a bad day.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do in this game, right? We've already seen Doinb taking up the Corki. We saw how this works in lane, right? Take E level 1, you walk up in his face, you get a ton of damage down, get the first strike damage as well as the gold into your kit. So he's going to be a huge threat later on. And then Light and Iwandi kind of seeing the level 1 that we hit on as well, being zoned off, having to be afraid of the threat of the all-in. Kalista, another champion who level 1 is extremely solid at being able to get that damage down. So Tarzan kind of taking the back seat that you want him to other players on the team. And kind of pivoting that conversation, right? I feel like the power spikes are very interesting in this game, where for LNG it feels like it is early, like level 3 onward with bot lane. But then mid-game is where BLG start to come into the fold. You know, you have the ultimate on FoFo, you have WeiWei able to move down, and you want to try and find that mid-game advantage before this Corki can be a massive threat. So it's kind of like a bit of a back and forth.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, small little congratulations there to Ala, who picks up his 200th game in the LPL. Congratulations to him. It's been a pretty rapid career for him. He's only been around, I think he's been around since 2019. 2019 GMO.
Natural.
Yes.
You were there.
Right. I was there. I am a big advocate for him for a while.
We rated DMO top 6 in the next split, and we were wrong.
We did. We drank the Kool-Aid a little much on that one. It was very much the at the time natural or Ala show. But again, you know, we have seen the highs from this guy. We have seen how well he can do. So if he's able to be a bit more consistent, if he's able to kind of, you know, continually bring back his own setups and keep himself, you know, out of harm's way, he can bring himself back. As we see good trade here from Light onto Doggo, and someone we haven't really had a chance to talk about is Doggo as well, now becoming the primary AD carry for BLG. Curious to see how he's going to be able to facilitate himself and his team coming into the split.
Yeah, we see them. They have been playing quite aggressively in the bottom lane. LNG are reading that very nicely. Them having Tarzan roam over with a little Banshee coming out from Doggo. Won't be able to find an avenue in unless it's from lane. You could try and bait this right, have Iwandi play a bit aggressively, Crisp looks for the hook, and then you go and fight with that numbers advantage.
Well, already WeiWei finding himself in the jungle. We will see a bit of an aggressive trade coming out as Doggo does have to flash and cleanse. They try and flash forward, but he doesn't get the Q down. Not quite able to get away from the Nautilus, so that's going to be a couple of summoners burnt, but good aggression here from LNG. They recognize very early on this Lucian Nami has to snowball.
Yeah, I do think the flash was a bit too much coming out from Tarzan with how quickly Doggo flashed away, so you're really only flashing in onto Crisp. But still, ultimately a win, right? You get both summoners off from the AD carry, no more Ignite onto Crisp either, and it sets up this lane where Iwandi and Light can start to dominate.
And it's an interesting development as well, I'm seeing a lot as well, where we're seeing the exhaust cleanse trade. It's basically an AD carry will take exhaust, the opposite AD carry will feel if they can or cannot take the full on in trade. And it's just an interesting, kind of move from the obviously bog standard heals that we used to see for so long. So curious to see how that will kind of continue to develop, because having an exhaust on your team in any shape or form can just be very pivotal to any kind of team fight, especially when you look at things like Camille, Kalista. Those things will end up being, pushing in on top of your face. So not, having that available to you can do a lot for you.
Yeah, right. I feel like exhaustion is so much in the 2v2s. The amount of combat summoners you're bringing is huge. Doggo and Crisp, though, are respecting that. And so far, I mean, even game, right? You don't really have small advantages in any which way. Even Doinb not really able to find too much in mid. WeiWei, though, isn't going to get anything. But sadly, FoFo now, at the point where it can pretty much ignore the Corki damage, you throw out a Winds of War, you walk up with your passive, you hit the wave, and it is gone. And now FoFo is going to continuously do this. You're constantly looking to posture around bottom side, get in deep vision, steal away these camps, and make it hard for Light and Iwandi to look for those short bursty trades that they need to win out in this lane.
Especially with the Galio, as you mentioned, being able to just roam around, getting to Fog of War, make you question whether or not you're going to be able to go for that all-in on bot side, or even top as such if you really wanted to go for it. Don't really see anytime soon that you'd want to be kind of giving resources to the Sion, but still looking pretty good for Ala at the moment. Is a little bit behind in CS, but should be able to equal it out once this wave does crash into him, which is going to do there. And there's a bit of an awkward situation there for Bin. He needs to crash, but he also needs to make sure that he's not getting caught out, because doesn't have a great vision on that top side as the rest of his team is set up around that dragon.
It's still very safe, right? Has the mobility of his E able to come through. Obviously wins on the matchup. He has true damage coming out from the recast of his Q. The outer layer of your tactical sweep actually does max HP damage. So Camille, very adept at being able to fight tankier champions. He's had lane prio the whole time. And even Bin, right, is constantly kind of wading down into river and giving LNG question marks. They do have a control ward in river right around Doinb's lane, so they at least know that Doinb is safe from any roams unless Bin did go for something super cheeky. But we'll ignore Bin now, because LNG, back to their usual shenanigans, trying to find something in the bottom lane.
But again, I think this is just really good respect coming out here from Doggo and Chris. They're saying, look, we know there's no flash on our Kalista. Yes, she does have the cleanse, but we don't really want to be pushing up on this, and the wave's pushing into us anyway, so we can just back up. Don't worry about it. And at the end of it all, Tarzan is just wasting time. Now, he doesn't have a lot of camps or anything to take at this moment in time, but again, it's just kind of wasting the jungler's time, making sure he's not influencing anyone else while still keeping your bot lane safe.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the big thing, right? He's making sure that they got this push in, that WeiWei wasn't able to find any kind of cheeky gank coming with the Cyclone, and FoFo be able to follow up. His Gromp is only just coming up now. His blue buff was the only camp that was up before. And realistically, I don't think you assume that you're going to be looking to contest that top lane Scuttle Crab at the moment when Bin had the wave pushed in and FoFo was still in lane to be able to follow up. So you're not playing around any timing like that. So Tarzan just making sure his bot lane's safe. BLG, though, want to punish Ala.
Yes, they do. There's the Hextech Ultimatum in response to the Unstoppable Force, or the Unstoppable Onslaught. We'll get the flash out of him as well. They will see the mist that was created by Tarzan. Maybe duking out that he was a little closer than he actually was. But that's still good trade in here for BLG, and they're being proactive. They're being the more kind of, set up team to try and make sure they can get these objectives. And right now, it's working out for them. Bin will take a decent trade, though, of health. I think they have the package there for Doinb as well, and they now know that there's 3 people topside. As you can see now, Doggo trying to go in full on top of the Lucian. They can't take the damage. The rend is too good. The Nautilus Kalista combination, 2 kills the BLG, and now we got a 3v3 in the top side. The Viego is dead as the Rift Herald still trying to bat around these health bars. It's BLG winning on absolutely all fronts. Doinb picks up a minor win on the kill, but at the end of it all, it's a 3-for-1 and the Rift Herald, the BLG.
Yeah, BLG coming up huge. I mean, in the bot lane, right, having an ult advantage. Chris was 6, Iwandi wasn't. We see in the top side. I mean, in my mind, BLG's 3v3 is so much stronger than LNG's at this point in the game. Doinb should be able to offer very little. Ala's not really like a massive frontline at this point in time. And BLG didn't even have to commit anything like an ultimate out from FoFo. Bin did go down, but picking up the Herald, really solid win for them. And we'll see which replay we go into. It is the bot lane replay. BLG are the team that were angling for it, so Light thinks he sees an opportunity to go in, but right there, Crisp hit 6, got his ultimate, you lock him down, and it buys time for Doggo to use his own ultimate, throw Crisp back in, and you get enough Ren Spears coming through. So, really nice, like, experience read coming out from BLG's bot lane. And then here, I mean, LNG wanting to contest, but you just have so much AoE damage coming out from the Cyclone. Again, they didn't even need to commit the Galio ultimate, and were still able to find that one initial kill. Bin was brought low enough in the end to go down, but the fact that you took down Tarzan meant that you got the objective.
And again, great start here for BLG. They're able to completely commit to bot side. Again, like you said, great experience read, so they know that there was not a level 6 on Iwandi, who does pick it up right now. But now Bin, on his new home, is going to try and see if he can make something more on this top side. Again, having the Camille, his comfort pick, perma-banned against him at MSI, and probably, honestly, throughout summer playoff or spring playoffs as well. This is looking like a very different BLG, a much more proactive BLG that want to try and get in your face and make their own advantages happen.
Yeah, it's still not anything crazy like what we saw from anyone's Legend, but it's definitely a step up from what we were seeing before. That's why when I saw the trade on paper for BLG and RNG, I thought it was kind of a win for both teams. Even though Breathe maybe fit what BLG were doing in terms of playing for those 5v5s, I really feel like BLG needs some kind of like pressure on the map who is just playing so volatile that you're going to have to play around him. So overall works out for them. Obviously for RNG, I think Breathe is a really nice addition, where he will just be able to be consistent in that top lane and maybe give you more agency to play around Gala and Ming if the meta works out. So it's always nice when you get a trade that could potentially benefit both rosters.
Absolutely, and we'll obviously wait with slight optimism that the Breathe move will be good. I am a little bit of an RNG fan, as it does end up being, but we'll see how it ends up going. We can't talk about RNG for too long, though, because we got to talk about LNG versus BLG. They have a package available to Corki now, 10 seconds until this dragon spawns, and that tells me that they want to fight. Still waiting on big summoners in the spot side, though. You do have the exhaust, but no flash on Iwandi or on Light, so it's all going to be combat, and already we're seeing Ala just roaming down. They know he's coming, though. They have a good ward there to spot him out, so there's not going to be an unstoppable onslaught to catch anyone just yet.
Yeah, now I want to see, do BLG just pivot to playing with the top side of the map? It looks like that's what they're doing, just all in onto the Sion right now, and then take plates up for Camille.
I mean, they could put a little bit of damage onto him, but the Wukong for WeiWei wasn't quite in a position for it. We will see Doinb using the package just as a deterrent for the Dragon, so that keeps LNG on the board for the objectives. But like you said, you're trading power now for power later, because BLG, they're going to be able to get a full tower off of this as well. So this is actually going to be a huge trade up for them.
Yeah, and just both teams, right, making different decisions. LNG wanting to play down for that Dragon, committing Ala over when... Yeah, I mean, it looked like he goes for the engage.
There's the unstoppable onslaught coming out as Ala trying to find Bin, but Bin just danced around him. Nothing he could do. He's still a Camille.
I mean, and Tarzan was nowhere near close enough. That's why that was a little bit surprising to see Ala go for it. They did have, multiple members there in time. But now they're also going to have tempo coming out on the map, right? Resets are going to come out first. We're going to see Bin get it up strong towards the top side. Might lose a few minions. Nope, is going to just TP there in the end. And then WeiWei coming out onto the map with an item advantage, has Divine Sunderer. Tarzan should have his in his back pocket whenever he does want to go for a base. But if WeiWei did look for a play now, like say on mid, it would just mean that there would be more immediate power in that 2v2.
And this is going to be, again, just good moves coming out. We're going to see a little bit of a lull in the action. Nothing really to fight over. A minute and a half till the second Rift Herald spawns, but Don't know how happy either side will be unless they have a full kind of setup. I feel like BLG will be pretty damn keen to maybe set themselves up for a 5v5, knowing that there will not be any package available. But again, we can look down now at the items. We can see there Muramana, the Manamune, soon to be Muramana, being picked up here by Doinb as he works up towards his mythic item. Gale Force picked up here for the side of Light. But on the other end, you're looking at double Divine Sunderer, an Everfrost, and an Immortal Shield Bow. So in terms of power curves, BLG are feeling pretty confident at where they're at right now, and they know they can take pretty much any fight.
Yeah, BLG definitely being stronger in terms of the items coming out, right? All of them having mythics, going to make their way up towards the top side now because second Rift Herald will be up soon. LNG just going to trade for the bottom half of the map. Maybe they could take turn in time and then try and make their way up here, but with the power that BLG have, I think that would be a bit of a wrong choice.
We can see Doinb with those big ones. He is still doing significant damage, so you will have to be very aware of what's going on here. But now WeiWei maybe looking to try and engage on this top side. You can see Ala just deleted right there. And this is the volatility you talked about. The fact that Ala is now a weak link on the side of LNG means that WeiWei and Bin are just comboing so nicely.
And, you know, you could see that they're trying to short up, right? Because he was volatile in spring, but was mostly being put on, like, very carry-oriented champions. Now, putting him on something like the Sion, having him play a weak side role, right? He's just meant to be a tank, meant to absorb for the team fights. He knew he was in a losing lane. At least getting something for their troubles. Hopefully this can help them get a bit more gold and start getting more items under their belt, because right now it feels like Light and Tarzan really being the only threats on their side. Light will always have threat when, like, Doggo's catching mid-wave. You know, you can find your way in, Nami buffs you up, you Gale Force into the dash, and maybe you can try and find enough damage to burst down Doggo, but can be quite hard when Crisp is babysitting him this whole time.
I mean, it's just... it's getting difficult for LNG. You can see, look at the player gold there as FoFo very much about 2,000 gold nearly behind this Doinb.
Oh, they want to fight.
They want to fight indeed. Again, like I said, they're just feeling very confident. There's a good tidal wave to come out. Doinb will get knocked up by the ultimate. But that does force out the TP here from Ala. So they get what they kind of wanted. All they traded for it was one ultimate there. And WeiWei should be able to just decoy himself, over the side, as we can see the train going into the mid lane. But it's not going to be able to pick up any more passengers.
Yeah, so ultimately, I'm going to guess BLG theoretically lost out in the trade because he committed a flash and an ultimate for ultimate and a TP. But the way it's winning for BLG, right, is the fact that it's a Nautilus. He has Hex Flash. He will still be able to find value. Ala now not going to have that TP. So Bin going to have a bit of a window soon when his is back up to where you have TPs and the opposing laner only has one. So maybe you can manage to look for some kind of like two-man side lane play, and then it doesn't matter if the objective's on the other side of the map. You can both TP there and look to get in. Dragon will be up in 30 seconds, though, so I'd expect to see BLG start hovering around that way, especially now that both team does have one Dragon on the board.
Well, 16 seconds till that comes up. You will not have the package just yet. Of course, they did change that, so you couldn't take it every 5 minutes. Now a 6-minute cooldown, so you will have it a minute afterwards. So you would imagine now with BLG having the priority they do on this bottom side, they will just be able to push in, bully the way into getting this objective, and it shouldn't be too much of a fight or a scrap at the moment. And despite this Lucian Nami being picked up, and again, we talked about how important this bot side is, Light and Iwandi, apart from that 0-2 start they haven't really been the focus of the rest of the map. Because of that tower going down in top lane so early, it did feel like the rest of the map shifted in terms of where they're going, but it looks like the time actually was delayed just enough, and Doinb, now with his Luden's Echo, or Luden's Tempest, excuse me, is going to be able to kind of dissuade the rest of BLG. They're not comfortable with this fight. Yeah,
BLG just going to commit to the fact that they do have a stronger side laner in Bin. Because, right, I mean, it's a very obvious advantage where BLG have is being able to win out side lanes. LNG, their team fight looks insane. Is Ala going to come in? But Bin doesn't care at all. The way BLG would have to fight LNG, though, right, is dives, his flank, is Bin finding his way onto Doinb or Light, comboing up with the Galio and deleting the backside.
Oh, Doggo
exposed!
They didn't get the hook, so he has to fully invest in with the Tempered Fate, or excuse me, the Fate's Call, and then they're going to go straight in. Doinb still had the package, so he went from the bottom of the map to the top and got the kill. They trade back 80 carries, and now the Nami is dead. They are going to try and get the taunt down on top of it, but Ala is a very tanky boy. There's the Heartbreaker in. Can he get any more resets? Yes, he will, and it's the Wukong. Bin needs to run away because he is going to be dead to rights. Double kill for Doinb and LNG spark into life.
And I'm so surprised that BLG committed into that fight once their AD carry was down. Sure, you're able to find one back in return, but Kalista is really your only source of consistent damage. Like, Bin, you're a melee champion, you're getting in melee range. They have a solid front line in the Sion. They have Nami who can keep you at arm's length. Like, there's so many things that LNG can do. They found the team fight they wanted. Doinb is now 4-0 on this Corki pick. And we'll see exactly how it happens as Doggo starts to clear out a ward, but this is the all-in that we talked about that typically comes from the Lucian with the Gale Force. Isn't able to bring him down, but the package from Doinb is enough. But still, now you're missing an AD carry, and you're all-inning onto the members of LNG where we hit on. They have this front line. They still have consistent DPS coming out from the Corki.
Oh.
Like, sure, you found 2 members, but you just set up the Viego for some resets.
That big one literally hit all 4 members, and it brought them down to the lethal setups as such. But 4-0, like you just mentioned, for Doinb, and he is starting to become a very scary boy, and I'm a little scared because I don't want to see a Corki meta come back at all because it's just so not fun. But when you're doing damage like that, it's hard to argue against it, and that is just a great win there for LNG, who again we said was starting to feel like the game was slipping away for them, and now it's the closest person to him has been, it's about 2,000 gold gap.
Yeah, I mean, Doinb's going to be huge at this point, right? And always will be a full, like, almost a full screen away when he is dealing his damage with the rockets because he is going the AP build, which just has been more prevalent. I feel like fits his playstyle so much more as a champion, right? You can theoretically do more damage with the AD build if you can get in range to auto, but if you're in range to auto, typically the enemy champions have a ton of CC and can kill you, so I think it's just going to be way more that we usually see this build just stay meta even going forward in the future. And now this pick that we were like, kind of surprising to see this come out, especially for Doinb, is paying off.
Yep, it really, really is. He's already got himself up to 2.5 items. He's got a stopwatch in the back pocket as well. This is becoming a very, very scary individual. 300 gold bounty on him as well. And honestly, I like how Light, despite dying and not officially getting the kill, he wasn't afraid to go for that trade. He wasn't afraid to just gotta put himself into absolutely crazy harm's way because he recognized that probably at this point he's no longer the carry or the primary carry of LNG. It is going to be on Doinb. It's going to be on the reset to Tarzan, and that kind of brings us back to spring 2022, where it's Tarzan and Doinb. We argued at the start of spring were the best jungle mid combination of the entire league.
Yeah, I mean, this time around, right, we didn't really see too much activity come out from them. Kind of standard with the draft that they opted for, but BLG now playing really aggressive.
Very aggressive. They will get 2 ultimates out of the side of LNG, but you can see there Bin was looking for a flank, but now he's completely separated. We're going to see them flash in with the Sion to try and get the knock up as Crisp is taking very, very low, not quite getting taken out. Bin will get fully committed on, and he will die before he's able to get any damage out, and Light still survives. He doesn't fall, and he keeps himself going. This is all LNG, and they can look for the Baron.
And, I mean, they all in on the Light. Doinb is the big damage dealer for the side of LNG. If you don't bring him down, it all means nothing. You've already hit on a machine. LNG going to be able to pick up this Baron. And, I mean, I guess for WeiWei, right, you have nothing else to go for. You try and go for the steal. We'll see if he's able to find it.
I mean, Allah's there playing bouncer. You don't have to go home, son, but you can't stay here. And he's not looking for a favor, but he's looking for an axe to grind. WeiWei trying to see if he can use the stop, start. Maybe look for something. He's gone in, but just a little too early. Tries to kill off Tarzan, but it shall not happen. They get the smite down. It's a 1,000 gold lead going over to LNG. And we have a look at the replay here. They commit everything on this botch dive.
Yeah, I mean, they throw out the hook. It isn't able to connect. Now you have your disengage come out. Sure, they're able to get away a little bit, but still, having the engage to be able to follow up for LNG in the Sion, find a huge knockup, and gets chunked out so low. Bin was waiting on the flank the whole time, and just over-committing for this when his team's already so low. And again, even if it worked out, you killed Light. It doesn't matter. They still have their damage dealer up in the Corki. And yeah, LNG just able to play off of BLG's mistakes.
This is starting to get a bit away from BLG. They're not really looking that cohesive. Again, I like the style that Bin's trying to bring to this team of being a bit more volatile, a bit more off the chain, and kind of force them into situations. But but that's the craziness that you have to try and pay for. Sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's that situation where you overcommit, you overgive resources. Fair enough, if you lose your Nautilus, it's not that big of a deal. You can still defend the Baron, but because you lost everybody else on top of that, you just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and again, we're at the point where for BLG, they're going to try and play out through sides, try and win with Camille's pressure because no one can answer him. The problem is, for LNG, I mean, now they have Baron, so they can't just siege you down 4v5. They have the Corki and just answer so nicely. But LNG are on soul point, so you can't just go for the split push strategy forever. Though, someone on LNG should answer it for now.
I mean, they are, but now that they've already answered, you're going to see a TP flank coming in. Double TP flank has been and FoFo trying to find themselves, but they're not able to make the pincer work, and I like the idea, but for BLG, unfortunately, LNG are just wise to your tricks.
Yeah, realizing that it was going to go down. But the point I was going to make before is just the fact that Dragon's up, so you can't, like, Dragon's going to be up, so you can't keep doing that. That will be soul for LNG. You're going to have to contest. You can't just look to trade that for some tower. So I feel like BLG are just going to keep trying to have Bin in a side lane for now. Rotate him over. Engage comes through, though.
Yeah, they do get a little bit of an engage. The mid lane tier 2 will fall. There's a hook down onto Sion, but again, he's a very tanky boy. He does not care if he's tanking the tower for an absolute age. We will see Doinb now with the package. And honestly, it's just difficult. You're 4v5. I don't know how you're able to kill this cannon, let alone defend your base.
Especially when you have just rockets flying in your face consistently. And Doinb built a death stance.
Yeah, how do you kill him? You don't. That's the funny thing. You just don't. You will just use the package as it was timing out. Won't have that now for the potential dragon fight, but we might see another fight coming in on top of this. Cyclone has been used as Tarzan gets himself into the mist. That's a good ultimate there from the Nautilus, forcing a flash out of light to get away from the hook. WeiWei trying to go in with the Cyclone, but is he going to be tanky enough? They're all on top of the Sion. He's not taking any damage right now, and now they can re-engage with the cooldowns that they have. It's a double kill for Light as he starts to take over this team fight like we thought he could. He's going to be able to separate the last 2 or 3 members on the side of BLG as Tarzan cleans up Bin. And that's going to be all she wrote for this game. LNG, it was a bit rocky at the start, but they kept composed, they kept their structure, and they kept themselves in this series.
Yeah, LNG able to pull out a win through some nice mid-game team fighting. They're going to equal out these kills. And, I mean, a solid 26-minute win.
I mean, it looked a little bit like BLG had a formula for it, but LNG just came back with a vengeance, and despite all the early setbacks, Doinb was just there to put out the DPS, and in their home stadium, it is going to be LNG picking up their first game win of 2022 summer.
Yeah, I mean, that was something of a game. Again, having the death stance come out from Doinb and Corki. Doinb always coming out with his very unique builds.
Dark technologies.
Their bot lane not really able to find any damage or any way of getting ahead. They still stuck to their guns. We still saw, despite being behind and being against a very tanky team, Light going towards things like Collector and looking for those all-ins. And at the end of the day, it didn't really matter because BLG made the mistakes. Doinb was able to capitalize on those, especially with that really nice package at first to find him all those kills and get him ahead. And at the end of the day, right, if you're going to opt into the front-to-back 5v5, you have the Corki, you have the Sion, you have the Nami, they're just going to win out every time over the composition that BLG picked up. And yeah, we're going to have to see if BLG can readapt going into Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, smart recognition of your win conditions and smart play overall from the side of LNG. And for BLG, they had the early advantage. The bot lane 2 kills that they got early was just absolutely insane in terms of how they were able to kind of work that one for them. But again, similar to what we saw in spring, it went from being very proactive to not very proactive, and all of a sudden they were sitting on the back foot. They were waiting for things to happen around them so they could react accordingly. And unfortunately, when you're going up against some of the better teams in our league, that's just never going to be good enough. You have to be searching for your own advantages.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And right, I mean, they tried to find ways to get ahead. They weren't able to really pull that forward into the mid game. And I mean, had that one fight gone differently for BLG, right, maybe you could have started running away with the map. If your Camille could have gotten massive, if Doggo could have popped off. But sadly, they weren't able to find it in the end. I mean, the story of this game really just is that Corki finding that team fight. That's why the gold graph sways the way it does, right? Because Light and Iwandi weren't able to find the impact that you pick this bot lane duo of Lucian Nami to do. But BLG, one mistake, snowballing out of control and allowing LNG to pick up this win pretty decisively.
I mean, pretty damn convincingly is probably the best way we can put it, because for Doinb, it just felt like he wasn't really contested. It felt like no one really put a threat onto him, and as you can see on the damage number, nearly 24,000 damage done. Go on.
Are we gonna get 2021 summer Doinb again?
Oh, I certainly hope so. That was the, and that's why I suppose we always think of 2021 as bittersweet for Doinb. So you think of 2021
you
summer.
Think of Worlds, but
yeah, I was gonna say,
dude, he was so cracked.
He was so unbelievably good.
The Lee Sin pentakill.
I remember we were both there against RNG, and it was 100% kill participation there for Doinb. He was the catalyst and center of everything good for his team, and yeah, the guy.
Who do you think gets the MVP?
I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough to tell. Maybe there's an argument for Iwandi. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll have to wait for the powers at B to give us that answer. But yeah, again, Doinb looking absolutely like super carry Doinb. We're gonna send it though to a quick break, and when we return, we're gonna see if super carry Doinb can bring them to a 2-0.